Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 366th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. Just to say, during the course of this battle, I shall ask you a battlefield awareness question. That if the actual thing that I show you happens, it could be a decisive and pivotal part of the battle. So it'll be interesting to see if you'll be able to answer the battlefield awareness question for later on. Okay, as you can see, this was fought on the flat, featureless map. And our first teammate is Brotherhood member JGP, who has bought the Rome SPQR faction. I see there he's got the bog standard 14 infantry and 6 cavalry there. Okay, so that is the bog standard 31k army. Very effective, very efficient. That's why most people tend to use that type of army. Okay, our next teammate is Brotherhood member Mars, who has bought the Seleucid faction. Now I'd like to draw your attention to Mars' experimental army here. As you can see, he's got 4 archers, but also you may well see he's got 10 infantry. And if you notice on the infantry, he's got 8 upgrades, and they're the Silver Shield Legionnaires. So he's got 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. Now, just for those interested in statistics, having those much upgrades on those legionnaires give them a 27 defense, which is the same as an urban cohort with gold shield, gold attack on. So having those big upgrades on those infantry does give them a massive defense, but they haven't got a very good morale, and the other specifications are not anywhere near the urban cohorts. But with those upgrades on, it'd be interesting to see. In the early days of Rome Total War, people did experiment with these legionnaires, but it was concluded by most that bringing the pike units was better than bringing the legionnaires. So it'll be interesting to see how well this army does. As you can see, he's got 6 cavalry. Let's have a look at the upgrades on his cavalry. Okay, he's just got gold shield, gold attack on those tanks of the ancient world, those cataphracts, armoured head to toe. Okay, so that's an unusual army build there. As I say, in the early days of Rome Total War, people did experiment with bringing these Silver Shield Legionnaires or the Silver Shield Pikes, and it was concluded by most that the pikes were the best units to bring. But as I say, this is an experimental army that Mars has bought here, and with the upgrades that he's put on those legionnaires, I think this could be an interesting battle, and it'd be interesting to see how well that army does. Okay, our last teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who has bought the Carthage faction. Now remember, we talked about this before. Years and years ago, people started to use Greek cities, a faction, as an attacking force, and I noticed that being Rome, we very often lost our battles against them. So I went into the custom armies and I made a Macedon army and a Carthage army, and as you've seen, my Macedon army has been quite effective against Greek cities. With this Carthage army, I made it at the same time, and I don't bring it out that often, but for this particular battle I thought I'd bring this this old Carthage army out. I've got 15 spear units and 4 Balearic slingers. Okay, so as I say, this is a very old army I may have built maybe 11 or 12 years ago to take on Greek cities, but you'll see that the other team has not bought the Greek cities faction, but they have got other pike factions. So it'd be interesting to see how well this old army does against good modern players with good modern armies. Okay, so there's our team there. This should be an exciting battle for you to watch, and I hope you enjoy it. Lots of different factions in this battle too. Okay, at this stage of the battle, I just thought I'd show you my block formation. You've seen my Macedon army with a block formation that I use. Well, as you can see, this Carthage army, I still use the same block formation, as I find it quite effective for the way that I actually play this particular army. As you can see, I've got my Balearic slingers and spears there in quite close formation. And let's have a look at the Seleucid formation there. As you can see, Mars has got his Silver Shield Legionnaires there in kind of like a checkerboard formation with his cavalry behind. As I say, this should be an interesting and exciting close battle for you to watch. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Bark, who has unusually bought the Pontus faction. If you notice here, I think if you notice that his formation is stood in the long grass there, so there may be some units we can't see. But just have a look at the upgrades of his army here. If you see in the first row of his battle formation, he's got 7 upgrades. So he's got an experience stripe gold shield in the first row of his battle formation. And those long pikes, remember, we've got to fight all the way down those long pikes to kill the enemy on the other end. So that is quite a big task to do, to fight down those pikes. Can you see the second row of his battle formation there? He's got 8 upgrades on. So he's got 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So that's what I call like staggered upgrades there. The lower upgrade are on the front row of his battle formation, and the higher upgrades are on the rear and the center. So you have to fight through his lower upgraded troops first to get tired before you go on to his more elite pikemen there. So that's a nice bit of upgrades there, the way he's done it. And you can see there he's got three, I think it's 3 scythe chariots. And remember, these scythe chariots have got great attacking potential. They've got a fear factor, but they do run amok. And as we've seen in other battle videos, chariots that run amok can kill both friend and foe alike and can be a menace to anybody on the battlefield. So bringing chariots is a double-edged sword, as they say. In one way it can work really well, but if they do run amok, and remember, Pontus' morale is not very good, so these chariots probably do stand a good chance of running amok during the course of the battle. As I say, killing both friend and foe alike. Their second teammate is Brotherhood member Aurelius, who has bought the Rome Julio faction. Now at first sight you can see he's got 14 infantry and 6 cavalry, but if we have a closer look at his units there, you can see that he's got 2 eagle units and an infantry general unit as well. So there's a lot of morale given units there for his infantry. Remember, the more morale that troops have got, the longer they fight, and it keeps them fighting longer and keeps them fighting better as well. And then he's got 6 cavalry. Okay, let's have a look at the upgrades on his cavalry. I see he's just got gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry there. Okay, so that's an interesting army build there. As I say, with those 2 eagle units and an infantry general, there's a lot of morale there for his infantry. As I say, keeps them fighting longer. Their third teammate is Brotherhood member Trajan, who has bought the Macedon faction. If you notice there, he's got 2 archer units there, you can see, and then he's got something like 12 or 13 pike units there. And once again, let's have a look at the upgrades. Can you see his forward units of his battle formation have just got 6 upgrades on? So those two units there have just got gold shield, gold attack on. And of course, those are the ones that's going to make the first contact with the enemy, the ones that's going to take the pillars. And then his next line there behind's also got 6 upgrades on. But if you look behind them, you can see that he's put higher upgrades on his secondary battle lines there, as I say, in his battle formation. So that's another good staggering, if you like, of upgrades there, keeping his elite troops at the back. His forward troops with the less upgrades kind of tire out and cause casualties to the enemy, and when they fight through them, they can then come up against his elite infantry with the better upgrades. I see he's got 3 companion cavalry, and if you notice, they've got 7 upgrades on. So he's got an experienced stripe, gold shield, gold attack. If you look closely, you can see that these companion cavalry are also known as a winged horseman because of the wings kind of thing on their helmet. So there's the enemy team there. Let's say lots of different factions. This should be a great one for you to watch. Okay, at this stage of the battle, I thought I'd give you a heads up on our basic battle plan here. Okay, because Macedon pikemen have got better specifications than Pontus, it was decided that my Carthage Sacred Band are going to take on the Macedon pikemen there. Okay, so as I say, this is the initial battle plan. Mars's Seleucid Silver Shield Legionnaire is going to take on Pontus, as you can see there, and obviously our Roman ally is going to take on the enemy Rome army there. So let's say that's the initial first battle plan there, but whether we can stick to that, we just have to wait to see as the battle unfolds. Okay, at this very early stage of the battle here, you can see that Mars's Seleucid archers are advancing forward to try to get into range to kill those Cretan archers. If you notice, the Macedon general now is sending his companion cavalry out to try and take out Mars's archers, but as if you notice that Mars has got his cavalry just behind his archers there to support them if needed. You can see there the companion cavalry charging into those Seleucid tanks of the ancient world. Nice hit there. Remember, those Macedon cavalry have got 7 upgrades on, experienced stripe, gold shield, gold attack, and Mars's cavalry, I believe, have just got 6 upgrades on, gold shield, gold attack. But if you notice here, the Macedon general being very aggressive here with both his pikes and his cavalry moving towards our Seleucid ally there. Let's say those Cretan archers have got long range, and of course the Seleucid archers are only short range archers. So as I say, if the Macedon general keeps his long range archers out of range of those short range archers, they can cause a lot of casualties without actually getting hit themselves. So as you can see here, I'm moving my Carthage Sacred Band troops over here ready to face the Macedon infantry. Remember, that is our initial battle plan. Can you see that companion cavalry unit there has just routed 2 of Mars's short-range archers? Let's say nice aggressive move there by Trajan using his companion cavalry there. Let's say I've moved my Sacred Band over to face Trajan's Macedons there, but I notice he's moved his Macedon troops back a little bit there. Almost like he's not too keen on taking on my my Carthage Sacred Band. Remember, those big pike units are 120-man units, and my Carthage Sacred Band are only 81-man units. But of course, Carthage does punch above its weight when it comes to taking on these big pike armies. So should be an interesting tussle there. If you notice, a Macedon pike army there is moving up towards my Seleucid ally, Mars's Silver Shield Legionnaires. And over on our right flank here, you can see that Aurelius is doing a right flanking action there, along with Bark's chariots, heavy scythe chariots there. So as I say, Aurelius, backed up by those chariots, is trying to do a right flanking action against us. But as I say, the Macedon general here, it looks like he's moving over towards his Pontus ally, and he may well like to take on our Seleucid allies' Silver Shield Legionnaires there. Remember, those Silver Shield Legionnaires throw pilas, the same as urban cohorts. So my guess is that Mars would like to get in range of those pikemen there to throw some pilas in. But remember, the initial plan was for my Carthage Sacred Band to take on Macedon and the Seleucid Legionnaires to take on Pontus. Well, as you can see here now, Mars has decided that he wants to go for the Macedonians. If you notice there, he's already thrown some pilas into the forward units of those that Macedon battle formation. But if you notice that both JGP and Mars's cavalry out here on our left flank is causing a lot of mischief and damage to the enemy there. Okay, so you can see JGP's and Mars's cavalry, we've got a big advantage over here on the left flank. There's only 2 or 3 enemy companion cavalry, and the rest of the enemy cavalry and chariots are over on our right flank. So I think JGP and Mars here are trying to make the most of our advantage on the left flank with our cavalry. But as I say, Mars now looks like he wants to face the Macedon pikemen, and so I'll just try and keep an eye on the Pontus pikemen there with my Sacred Band. But also, if you notice, Mars's formation there has got a left flank that could well be exposed to the Pontus attack there, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And as I say, Aurelius with his red Julii army there is doing a right flanking action. Okay, so you can see here that Trajan is now pulling his companion cavalry back, because you can see a lot of JGP's SBQR cavalry and those Seleucid cataphracts coming as well. Notice here Mars being extremely aggressive, running his Silver Shield Legionnaires towards Macedon. He obviously wants to throw some more pilas into those forward units before he actually gets into hand-to-hand combat. But as I said, over here on the left flank, you can see we've got a big advantage here with our with the cavalry that we've got here. Remember, all the time the Seleucid short-range archers are shooting at those Macedon pikemen as they're moving around. Looks to me like Mars is almost ready to charge his cavalry into those Macedon pikemen, but then the Macedon general puts his pikes down there. Remember, the Macedon pikemen, well, all pike units have got big anti-cavalry bonus, so he made a good move in pulling back there. But if you notice, he's still being very aggressive with his legionnaires. They're still moving them towards the Macedon pikemen. As I say, being very, very aggressive here. But if you notice, Pontus there is moving forward, and Mars's infantry could be a little bit exposed there to a flanking attack by Pontus, so we'll have to watch that. But as I say, he's being very aggressive. As I say, I've got my Carthage Sacred Band there watching that Pontus army as well, ready to move in if needed. But as I say, over here you can see the JGP's SBQR and our Seleucid allied there. We've got big cavalry advantage on this left flank. Okay, here you can see that Aurelius's Julii cavalry are looking to charge around, probably looking to take my slingers out here, but I'm going to shoot a lot of slingshot into that cavalry. If you notice that JGP's brought some of his SBQR units over to cover my slingers, we're shooting loads of slingshots into that Julii cavalry. You can see a lot of Julii cavalry dead there, which my slingers have done with those slingshots. Okay, once again back to the main action here. You can see Mars still being really aggressive with his Seleucid legionnaires. But you can also see Pontus moving over as well, probably with a view to looking to taking out the flank of Mars' infantry. Right, can you see the Macedon general now has decided to stop kind of pulling back and has now run forward to engage the Seleucid legionnaires there. Notice as soon as he made contact, he put those pikes straight down, and we're now advanced probably into those Seleucid legionnaires. I think all the pilots basically have been thrown from those legionnaires, so they've caused as many casualties as they can with their missiles. But as you can see, Pontus is starting to move a little bit there. If you notice, I've moved my Carthage Sacred Band over a little bit to cover my Seleucid allies' flank there from any attack from Pontus. Okay, but seeing that my Seleucid allies trying to take on those Macedon pikemen head on, I've decided to charge my Carthage army in to integrate with my Seleucid ally there to take on those Macedon pikemen. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as you see here, I've decided to charge my infantry in there to help my Seleucid ally out against those Macedon pikemen. But I'm very aware that Pontus is going to come in on our flank and come around our rear as well, probably with those pikemen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to advance my forward units against the Macedon pikemen there to help my Seleucid ally out. But I'll keep my rear and flank units there ready to match up against those Pontus pikemen when they come in. But remember, we still got a big cavalry advantage over on this left flank. And knowing how aggressive Mars and JGP are with their cavalry, that could be a big advantage to us over there. But as I say, at the moment, the Pontus pikemen look like they may well come in on our right flank. And as I say, you can see Aurelius here with his Julii army, and they're backed up by those chariots, are still doing that right flanking action. JGP is now pulling his army back a little bit towards us. But as I say, you can see at one glance here that we've got a big cavalry advantage here over on this left flank. Which I'm sure both Mars and JGP will exploit very effectively against especially Macedon here. As you can see here, as I said, I'm going to move my forward Carthage Sacred Band units into those Macedon infantry pikemen there to help my Seleucid ally out. But I've also got an eye of what's coming in on my right flank and probably around the rear there of those Pontus pikemen. So as I say, those Pontus pikemen look like they're coming in behind my Carthage Sacred Band, so I must be aware of that. But if you notice there, our Seleucid ally and myself have taken out a heck of a lot of those Macedon pikemen that were in front of us already. But as I say, those Pontus pikemen are coming in on our flank and our rear. Okay, do you remember at the beginning of the battle I said I was going to ask you a battlefield awareness question here, and here's where I'm going to ask you that question. I'm going to show you a general disposition of the battlefield, and then I'm going to see if you can see what could happen here. Okay, so out here you can see we've got a big cavalry advantage, as we said, and both Mars' Seleucid army and my army here are facing Macedon and Pontus. Okay, so you can see that there. It's a life and death struggle here between us, and this could well decide the outcome of the battle, who wins here. But as I say, it's really like trench warfare. They're very attritional. And over here, can you see that the Julii enemy have attacked JGP's SBQR army with a really great cavalry charger straight into routing a lot of JGP's units. Okay, so that was a general disposition of the battlefield. Now, can you see where a decisive action could possibly take place here that could end the battle? Okay, there is potential here for a decisive attack that could possibly end the battle here in a very pivotal and decisive way. Can you, looking at the general disposition of the battlefield, can you see what that could be? As I say, it's only a possibility, but I just wondered if you could possibly see that. Veterans might see this straight away, but newer players to Rome Total War may well have to look a little bit more carefully. I'll give you a clue. It's something to do with the enemy team. Okay, if the enemy team does what they could do here, then it could end the battle quite quickly. Okay, that's the clue there. Can you see a possibility here of what could possibly end the battle quite quickly in the enemy team's favour? Okay. Can you see my Seleucid ally and myself here are facing forward there, attacking Macedon and Pontus? Okay, so all our troops are engaged. Every one of us are engaged. A lot of troops are tired or winded. Okay, but can you see behind us? There's nothing behind us. A complete vacuum, if you like, of troops. Nothing behind us. But can you see this red Julii cavalry here have smashed in, routing a lot of our units? Okay, so there's 6 well upgraded cavalry there. Now, if you notice here, if they charge down the area where we've got no troops at all, they charge down there, 6 well upgraded cavalry charge bonuses smash into the rear of our engaged troops. And not just any troops, but if they smash into the rear of that Seleucid general, okay, smash into the rear of him, rout the general possibly, and then because Seleucid morale's not very good, my guess is that the rest of his infantry would rout. My Carthage sacred band, seeing the allies routing all round them, would probably start to rout as well, and there could well be a mass rout of both my army and the Seleucid infantry if that Julii cavalry smashes in to the rear of that Seleucid general. I just wonder what you think. Do you think if those 6 cavalry units come charging down that vacuum area there and smash straight into the back of the Seleucid general, that could well spark a mass rout of our troops? I just wonder what you think about that. But remember, all of us, when we're actually fighting a battle, we all miss things from time to time. And I know I do quite a lot. But as I say, that could be a pivotal, decisive part of the battlefield there, if those cavalry charged in there and probably caused a mass rout. I just wonder what you think about that. I just thought that was a battlefield awareness question that I thought you might find quite interesting. See that Julii cavalry that's charged straight down in there if they wanted to. But as I say, concentrating on taking out our SBQ ally there. The red Julii general is looking to take out the SBQ general there. And as I say, over here things are still looking pretty bad for us because we've got Pontus pikemen coming in behind from a flank. We're still trying to fight those Macedon pikemen from the front as well. So as I say, remember those long piked pikemen there. You've got to fight all the way down those long pikes to kill the man on the other end. Here's a nice aggressive SBQ cavalry attack. Bang! Straight into those Macedon infantry. As I say, JGP and Mars being very aggressive with their cavalry over here. Let's just pause the game for a second. So as you can see here, one of the Pontus chariots has run amok. Now that chariot there will be killing both friend and foe alike. See that red banner flashing above its head means it's run amok. And as I say, that will be killing friend and foe alike. JGP's what he's got about 6 or 7 infantry units left. And he's up against a heck of a lot of enemy red Julii units, both infantry and cavalry. So things not looking very good there. As I say, our Seleucid ally with his cataphract cavalry being very aggressive. And as you can see here, JGP with his cavalry being very aggressive as well. But as I say, we're facing a lot of Pontus pikemen, a lot of Macedon pikemen, and as I say, that enemy Julii army coming in behind. You can see Pontus general there doing a very aggressive attack there with his pikemen, bringing another pike unit in behind us. As you can see here, just show you the difference in the pike length. Can you see how long a Pontus pike is? Look at the length of that Pontus pike, and look how short our Sacred Band spears are up against the length of those Pontus pikes. So as you can see, that's a big difference there. So those Pontus pikemen could be killing troops before our short-speared spearmen, if you like, get into killing range of those Pontus pikemen. So that's a big difference there. See the Seleucid cavalry charging in, and bang, as that cavalry hits. Okay, so that's a Macedon general just been taken out. So a lot of the Macedon units will now start routing. I think that's basically all the Macedon pike units, I think from what I can see there, have now been taken out. And that's really aggressive cavalry work there by both JGP and Mars. Really well done, guys. But if you notice here, JGP has not got a lot of his infantry left, and he's starting to move it round to the rear of our engaged units here now. Right, if you notice, I've turned my Sacred Band to fight those Pontus pikemen. We've still got Seleucid, a Silver Shield legionnaires there fighting as well. You see that one Pontus unit coming in behind us, attacking the rear of our engaged troops. I see Aurelius is using his cavalry extremely aggressively as well. But from what I can see here, we still have got cavalry advantage. JGP and Mars's Seleucid cavalry there, we outnumber the enemy cavalry. So we still got a cavalry advantage there, but there's a lot of fresh enemy Julii infantry moving towards us here, and they've still got cavalry as well. So just at a glance here, you can see that basically Aurelius's army is basically still intact, but we've lost a lot of units ourselves here. See, a lot of my units are tired now, fighting fresh Pontus units. So remember that as your troops get more tired, their morale drops and their battle efficiency drops as well. And this is what seems to be happening here. As I say, it's a very attritional battle here, with Pontus and Julii troops attacking my Sacred Band troops. Okay, looks like we've killed the Pontus general. Now, as we know, Pontus' morale is not very good, so that's a good move to have killed the Pontus general there. But as I say, you can see a lot of enemy Julii Roman troops moving in here to support their Pontus ally against our Seleucid ally and my Sacred Band spearmen. I see a lot of the Julii troops have still got pilers left that they're throwing into our engaged troops. Okay, so that's my general has just been taken out. Okay, so that's going to lower the morale of all my troops there. And bearing in mind, most of my troops are tired. They've been fighting for a long time. It wouldn't surprise me if you start seeing Carthage units starting to rout. Okay, I can see one starting to rout, but you notice he fought right down to the last man. So that goes to show how good these Carthage Sacred Band troops are, fighting right down to the last man there. You can see Aurelius is bringing his cavalry round to the flank. There's still a lot of cavalry action going on around the if you like, the peripherals of the battle here, but very important use of cavalry as well. But as you can see, JGP's SPQR troops, he has not got a lot left. And if you look at the amount of enemy Julii Roman troops that are left here, things maybe not looking that good for us. I see Mars' Seleucid Legionnaires still doing really good against the Julii troops. Can you see that one beleaguered JGP SPQR unit there? It looks like he's got it in testudo, but he's completely engulfed by red Julii troops there. So that unit's gonna, I would think, not gonna last very long, and then he'll have all those troops to release onto the battlefield. As I say, over here, my Sacred Band have been fighting for a long time against enemy troops, and our Seleucid ally the same. So we've got a lot of very tired troops here. But I've noticed a lot of the several of the Pontus pikeman units are starting to rout as well. But all the time, remember, I've got fire arrows coming in from those Macedon Cretan archers, and remember, those fire arrows don't just cause casualties, they lower morale. And remember, my troops are already tired, which lowers their morale anyway, and to have fire arrows coming in behind them will lower their morale even more. There's a cavalry here by Aurelius with his red Julii cavalry, and bang! He originally wanted to smash into the flank of my units, but has now charged them into our Seleucid ally. Okay, so all our Seleucid allies' cavalry has now been routed. Luckily, JGP still got some of his cavalry left, but they're all battle depleted. Right, can you see a lot of my units now are routing, and a lot of our Seleucid allies' units are now routing. We're starting to crack under the pressure of fighting prolonged battle there. So, as I say, JGP's cavalry and some infantry is charging into Aurelius's cavalry and infantry, but there's a hell of a lot of Julii units still left here against a very battle depleted team that we've got. As you can see, that's JGP's infantry, very battle depleted against a lot of enemy Julii units there. As you see, Aurelius has still got a lot of his cavalry left. He's still fighting, he's charged them into some of JGP's infantry units there. You can still see the fire arrows going into the rear of my Carthage Sacred Band unit. If you notice, I've turned my general unit to face the rear, because I can see a lot of Julii units in behind us here, and the last thing I want is for Julii infantry to attack the rear of my engaged Sacred Band infantry. So I've turned some units to face the possible threat of that. Okay, see a lot of my units tired or very tired. The very tired ones is one step up from being exhausted. And of course, once they get to exhausted, their morale is absolutely rock bottom and they could be routed. But there you can see a lot of enemy Julii troops still attacking my Sacred Band units there. But JGP's using his cavalry and infantry extremely well there to take out a lot of enemy units. He's moving his cavalry and infantry in behind those engaged Julii infantry there. If you smash it into the rear of them, it could be a hammer and anvil attack. Right, you can see more of my Sacred Band units are routing. Can you see that one unit was 7 there? They're both routing. So So as I say, I've got very few of my Sacred Band units left, and JGP is bringing his cavalry and infantry round just at the right time, as I say, for a hammer and anvil attack against those engaged Julii troops. But there's a lot of red enemy Julii troops closing in on us as well. So as I say, this battle is still really much up in the air at the moment. But as I say, nice cavalry hit. There was JGP's cavalry going in, and bang, as that cavalry goes straight into the rear. More of his cavalry going in, and bang, as that cavalry straight into the back. As I say, hammer and anvil attack. My Sacred Band being the anvil and his cavalry being the hammer there. He's also sending infantry in as well to the rear of those engaged Julii troops. Nice support there by JGP. But as you can see there, remember the enemy are the red Julii, Pontus and Macedon. And we are Seleucid, purple SBQR and Carthage Sacred Band there. Okay, so the as you can see, the Seleucid general has just been killed. Remember, Seleucid morale is not very good, so with a general killed, that's going to cause a lot of morale dip. Can you see that muck chariot there going through his allies' infantry, chopping down loads of his infantry? Remember, when those chariots go amok, they seem to be more powerful than in normal mode. Right, just to draw your attention here, can you see a lot of my Carthage Sacred Band now are routing? Okay, my army is starting to crack after prolonged fighting. A lot of my units are starting to rout. So JGB bought his SBQR army just over at the right time there to support me against those enemy Julii infantry. But as you can see here, there's a heck of a lot of enemy Julii infantry left. As I say, my Carthage Sacred Band have been fighting for a long time there. If you see, I think I've got 3 units left. Can you see? I've got 3 of my Carthage units left. That's all I've got left now. So that goes to show how attritional this battle has been. And each one of those units are very battle depleted. If you notice though, I'm running them over now to help my allies against the those Julii infantry. But as you can see, there's still a lot of enemy Julii infantry left. As I say, I took my Sacred Band over there just to help out as much as I can against the enemy engaged enemy Julii troops there. If you notice, I'm moving around the rear of those engaged enemy troops and are now attacking them from the rear. So my guess is they're pretty tired anyway. They're very tired. That's one step up from being exhausted. We've just killed a Julii general as well, so the morale of those Julii troops are going to drop. As you can see, Aurelius has had a lot of infantry round trying to kill this last Seleucid infantry unit there that was in Testudo. Now he's decided to leave that unit. He's still got pilers left with some of his units he's thrown into the enemy troops. And I notice that some of JGP's troops have still got pilers they're thrown in as well, causing them to rout, the enemy to rout there. It's very unusual for units to still have pilers left at this stage of the battle. They've usually all been thrown by now, so that would have been an unpleasant surprise for the enemy there, being hit by all those pilers. Okay, let's just pause the game for a second here. You can see now our team has managed just about to rout those the remainder of the enemy team there. But as you can see, we've got very battle depleted units left. And as I say, I've got 3 units left. One with 20 men, 33 and 18. And that's all I've got left. So that just goes to show the intensity of the fighting. Over here where the big pike battles were going on, remember we were fighting Macedon and Pontus there. You can see that the big 120 man units of Pontus and Macedon there, you can see the intense casualties. So you can see just by a glance they're all over this battle. Remember, it's only a 3v3, but you can see how intense the battle is by just looking at all the casualties here. Right from one side to the other, you can see how intense this battle was. Yes, it was only a 3v3, but it was extremely intense battle there. And as I say, it was a very attritional battle there, and we just managed to go on to win this this battle. Okay, the first thing I'd like to say is I found it very strange that it was an average victory. I would have put money on it being a close victory. You could see the small amount of units we had left, and you know, it was a very, I thought, close battle. Just show you that old Carthage army of mine managed to scrape in the highest kills. So I was very pleased that old army did quite well. But Mars's army, remember we looked at that? It was an experimental army with those 10 Silver Shield Legionnaires, got the second highest kills. So well done to him with his experimental army. And Aurelius did well with his Dulo army as well. Some good kills there as well. As I say, I hope you found that the battlefield awareness question was quite interesting. As I say though, you know, when you sit back in your chair and you watch a battle replay, I bet we all see things that we could have done differently. As you can see, there's a battle statistics here. You can see that most of my Sacred Band killed loads of enemy troops. There you can see big kills for the Sacred Band against the enemy troops. Remember, I was fighting the big 120-man units, so that's why I did so well. The Balearic Slingers didn't do very good there, but they were taken out quite early in the battle there. So just say, what I also liked about this battle was it was only a 3v3, but look how many different factions there were. I think it was 5 different factions? Pontus, Seleucid, Carthage, Macedon and Rome. So it was nice to see so many different factions as well. So I hope you enjoyed this battle, and I hope you find the battlefield awareness questions quite interesting. I think I try and throw them in if I can. So this is Spartan Commander saying bye for now. Look forward to seeing you soon, and hope to see you on RTW tonight. Bye for now.